Yo, what is up, guys? XRP's at $2.89 right now in CoinMarketCap. Our first tweet comes from Mr. Poole. Stay alert. Trump's major surprise will shake this week to its core. Our next tweet comes from Steph is Crypto. Only future XRP millionaires can like this post. Click the like button if you believe XRP will take off and smash that subscribe button. We're trying to reach 1,200 subscribers by tonight. Our next tweet comes from RWA Watchlist. Just in, the SEC is changing its rules on how banks and firms can hold digital assets. Trump's new policies are pushing big players like JP Morgan, Fireblocks, and Anchorage to build RWA custody solutions. Big W for RWA. Our next tweet comes from Bitcoin TN. Just in, SEC Chair Paul Atkins highlights Project Crypto during the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium. Let's watch this video.
So the good thing is we have a president who has thrown down the gauntlet. I mean, he's not shrinking from this, and he understands the importance of it. He said it many times himself, even before he got into office here most recently. So, he wants to make America, the world running on American technology and make America, the crypto capital of the world. So that's a pretty, that's a pretty good goal, I think, and a challenging one. So we at the SEC in our little patch, it's an important patch of it, need to be forward-thinking. And again, with this President's Working Group and David Sachs and Bill Hines, who are leading that, I think that's been, and Treasury that has taken the pen to it. I think that's great. Has written down a whole, we've forged a whole bunch of to-dos from that, and so we'll be, attacking that, and already are. So as we go on, there are a lot of questions to be answered, and so I'm, salute the work of the folks in Congress who have, passed the Genius Act, which was great. Hallelujah. I mean, that really is a seminal step for the United States Congress and the government.
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Our next tweet comes from Smoke DQG. Bank of International Settlements ISO 20022 is seen as critical infrastructure for banks and digital asset networks. Documented. Our next tweet comes from Smoke DQG. It's official. The Swift ISO 20022 November 2025 release will include a blockchain cash wallet feature for ISO 20022 messages for the first time. Swift is finally moving to upgrade its system to handle digital asset transactions. Our next tweet comes from CoinDesk. Bullish. Franklin Templeton CEO Jennifer Johnson claims digital assets are going mainstream. Let's watch this video.
Right, and it'll be events like the one you're attending right now that kind of catalyze a lot of that. What message does it send that Michelle Bowman, a Fed Vice Chair of Banking Supervision, is attending the conference? What does that signal to the crypto industry? What does that signal to the financial services industry?
Well, I think it signals that this is becoming mainstream, right? Digital assets are going to become mainstream. Now, that doesn't mean all of them. I think there's going to be some that, like in anything, you have to be sort of careful and really understand the space. But again, this underlying technology is so powerful that bringing it together, and I think a recognition that it is important for regulators, it's important for for traditional financial people to understand the space and to figure out how to converge these things together. And so I think that's really the message.
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Our next one comes from Bank XRP. Senator Tim Scott is committed to delivering on their unified vision of American dominance as the crypto capital of the world. SEC Paul Atkins, David Sachs, and congressional colleagues is dedicated to advancing their shared goal of establishing America as the global leader in cryptocurrency. Let's watch this video.
So when I talked about the team earlier, I know we're running out of time, when I talked about the team earlier, a couple really important points. You think about the administration, you got Paul Atkins over there, we have Slacks over there, we now have at the Fed Mickey Bowman who's over there, and then you have people like me and French Hill in the Senate and the House running our committees. We now have a team that's leaning in, and we feel like we have to get it done now. Executive action is not enough, period. If one president hated it, this one loves it, we need a Senate and a House that gets legislation passed.
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Our next tweet comes from Digital Perspectives. Progress. XRP in and of itself is not a security. Now let's get the clarity needed for the rest of crypto too. All we have ever wanted was a level playing field. Let free markets do the rest. Our next week comes from the Crypto Square. XRP in under a minute, a math-based currency designed for fast, efficient, and borderless value transfer. Let's watch this video.
But what we believe will happen is that most market makers, in filling out the world of exchanging value from anything of value, again, currencies, merchant reward points, airline miles, gold, silver, anything that you define as value, most people will actually, most market makers will use XRP because as a currency without a counterparty, it is a completely unique thing in the protocol, just like Bitcoin is completely unique. So again, our view of why math-based currencies are so valuable isn't necessarily that they replace existing currencies, it's just that they have a very unique feature in that they have no counterparty. So the whole world, the world only has to think about one thing when it comes to Bitcoin or Ripple, is the price in any microsecond in time. You never have to think about the counterparty risks. It turns out that is a completely unique thing that's never existed before. So why is that important? But what we believe
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Square. Jeffrey Kendrick, Standard Chartered, sees XRP hitting $12.50 by 2028, a 500% upside. Milestones $5.50 2025, $8 2026, $10.40 2027, driven by regulation, adoption, and ETF momentum. Our next tweet comes from ResXRP. The shift is monumental and historic. Sergey Nazarov, the perfect storm. Let's watch this video.
I would say the shift is monumental and historic. I think it's at a different magnitude from what people were even hoping for. So I think that people in our industry, I mean, I've been in our industry for 15 years now, essentially since the start of the industry when the only thing that existed was Bitcoin. And then, when the first smart contracts came around, we built many of those. And the industry has been beat up for so long by, the regulatory environment, various governments. I mean, that's gotten better over the last 3-4 years with certain governments like Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, and others. But those are kind of financial innovation hubs that have to be very open, and they don't command the same, I would say, market power as the US financial system, which is by far the largest financial system and the one that everyone wants to align with. So when the US financial system has the president happily signing legislation that makes stablecoins legal, and you have the chair of the SEC talking about Project Crypto and how the whole financial world's going to go on chain, and then you have another chairman, the CFTC chairman, that hasn't even been confirmed yet, but we know is extremely pro-crypto. I mean, you basically have, I would say, a kind of perfect storm where the macro environment is very positive, which means the macro environment for crypto is very positive. You have every branch of government, every branch of government in the biggest financial market in the world, extremely pro-crypto. So they're all now, before 9 months ago, they were thinking, how do we kill crypto? Now they're thinking, how do we undo all the damage that was done? And how do we accelerate crypto to be, the leading economy for crypto? And that's every branch of the government that I've seen. And to your point, we've been dealing with various governments in the US government for a while. And every branch of government, every single one.
What do you guys think about that video? Comment down below. Subscribe. XRP holders, I'm going to give you some very important information that gives us a very good idea of where the Fed is going based on what they've said about the data we're showing you today. Also, there's a lot more to talk about, which I think backs up what I'm going to tell you. First, we need to talk about the main topic of today's movie, which is the unemployment rate in the US. We can see a very clear trend when we look at the jobless rate. It really is getting worse. It's clear that the percentage of people saying they had bad sales is going up. This is making the job market weaker and weaker. First, you can see that 11% of small companies said that low sales were their biggest problem in July. This is the highest percentage since the 2020 pandemic. This share has grown by 2 times in the past 7 months. In past economic cycles, this has also been a sign that unemployment was going to rise. It also shows that the jobless rate might go above 5% in the next few months. Of all the people who work in America, 62.3 million, 64.9%, are employed by small businesses. Today, I'm taking a very hard look at this because I think you remember how the markets responded to all the rate cuts that happened around this time in 2020. It was completely crazy. And of course, the rates went back up in the end, unemployment went back down, etc. Really cool stuff. Many of you had the best bull run in crypto in 2021. For those of you who weren't there, that bull run was crazy. People made a lot of money and altcoins went up 100 times. It looked like every other day. It was crazy. Yes, there was another similar event in 2010 after the financial crisis. The Federal Reserve's monetary policy was also very similar at that time. The Federal Reserve, RF's main goal is always to lower unemployment and keep inflation under control. Those are their two main jobs. So if job data shows that unemployment is going up, they need to do something about it. They must do something about it right away. On top of that, you can see that 2022 saw record high sales from all kinds of businesses, small and large. The business cycle was a great time for everyone. Based on what the Federal Reserve has done in the past, I wanted to ask Grok what the Fed will do if unemployment and inflation both go up at the same time. Why? Because, as I just showed you, the PPI inflation rate is going up a lot. So, wait. When the Fed sees that prices are rising, they don't want to drop rates very often. But when there's stagflation, which means prices going up while the job market gets worse and unemployment goes up, they have to make a very hard choice, right? One of the two will have to be given up. We have to decide if we should let unemployment get worse so that inflation can maybe start going down or keep things the same and not lower rates. It's a tough choice for the Fed to make, but luckily we have a lot of data and decisions made by Jerome Powell and other Federal Reserves in the past to help us make our choices. You can see right here that when the job market gets weaker, like when unemployment goes up, the Federal Reserve usually lowers interest rates to get the economy going again. When inflation goes up, especially because of things like tariffs, problems in the supply chain, or higher product prices, the Federal Reserve will usually keep interest rates the same or even raise them to slow down demand and keep prices stable. According to new findings, inflation predictions for 2025 have been changed from 2.3% to 2.7%. So stagflation is when both unemployment and inflation are going up at the same time. This makes monetary policy very hard to manage. In the past, like in the 1970s, the Fed has had trouble dealing with both at the same time. Inflation may be seen as the biggest threat by the Fed, so they may keep rates the same or even raise them. If, on the other hand, unemployment gets worse, rate cuts are more likely to happen. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has said that the next step will depend on which measure shows that unemployment or inflation is getting worse faster. Based on the information I just gave you about the economy, PPI inflation is going up and CPI inflation is staying the same. Then there's growing unemployment, which is also known as stagflation. The Fed might cut rates, but how likely is that? Well, Grok says that there is a 70-90% chance that the Federal Reserve will lower rates when unemployment and inflation are both going up. Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, and JP Morgan have all made strong predictions that the Fed will cut rates 3 to 5 times before the end of the year. This means that Goldman Sachs is pretty much expecting September, October, November, and December. A bunch of rate cuts are coming, maybe even 2 or 3 or a couple of basis points in a single month, which is crazy. But we'll see what comes up with that. On top of that, there are a lot of other things going on that are clearly having an effect on the markets and will have an effect on the price of XRP. I hope you all knew this already, but after a few months, the price of XRP will go up because interest rates are going down and there is more money in the market. That's how things work. Okay, that's just the 90% link that digital assets have with their prices during times of economic boost. You should know that in July, the Richmond Fed Industrial Index goes down by 20 points, which is the second lowest since the 2020 pandemic and once again looks a lot like earlier years. The government is probably looking at this data and thinking to themselves, small and medium-sized businesses in the U.S. need help. Jobs are becoming less available. All of these things are being thought about. You may be thinking, why the mark? It is so crazy right now. Why are crypto longs worth $100 million being sold in just 60 minutes? Yes, there are many things going on, but you need to pay attention to what the smart money or big money in institutional capital is doing. The $50 million worth of Bitcoin that Michael Saylor just bought. This is after the day's huge dump. You can see on this chart that just this stretch got rid of long positions worth more than $100 million. We are now dealing in a straight line again. Institutional investors are paying attention to these markets right now because they see a chance to get out of a lot of long positions, okay? I'm going to buy these dips. Those are my little buy indicators. I'll probably be putting them into use tomorrow. Thanks a lot for that. So this is pretty much what we'll be seeing a lot of, right? A lot of big investors are going to come in. They are going to close down. They are going to try to get rid of a lot of long positions with something called a liquidity sweep in order to get a good buy at the bottom. A lot like what Michael Saylor did just now after a huge sweep of cash came through. Will then shoot back up like it never happened. This has happened many times before. And to be honest, it always happens the same way. That's just how things are. Yes, it is possible for prices to drop a little, but I'll buy that dip again. I'm going to always buy on the dip until there are more shorts than longs. Then I knew that they were going to sell people on the upside was on the downside. Okay, so we need to get ready for that. That's what I'm getting ready for. I also believe that at least one rate cut will happen by the end of this year. At least one, and I think 3 is also a good chance. It hasn't been proven yet if rates will go down in September. In my opinion, rate cuts in September are becoming less likely, while rate cuts in October are becoming more likely, because I really believe that the jobless rate will keep going up if nothing is done. It's important that inflation doesn't get too high, because if it does and unemployment keeps going up, the Fed will have to cut rates. And I believe this would be good for the cryptocurrency market, especially in the US. This is what I'm going to use to trade. I'm going to tell you all of my trades and every move I make. You guys should be able to see what I'm doing. Look at what I'm doing. My Discord is open to everyone for free. I have 2 partner swaps that you can join here, make a deposit, and fill out this short form with your information. It's that simple, guys. Just click on the Crypto Crusaders link below to join